Hi guys, my name is Tracy and I am the owner and designer of Main Road Digital Creations. This is what we're going to be making. These are cute little Easter tags. You can hang them on an Easter basket, however you want to do it. You can personalize it, but we're going to go craft these so you can see how to make them. Let's go craft. Okay, we're going to bring our image into Design Space. I've already uploaded it. Insert your image, and this is what you get. Okay, I'm going to ungroup. When I make my keychains or my tags or whatever I use that has a hole in it, the way that I do it is I ungroup them and then I take the hole out. It's easier for me when I am cutting my vinyl and then applying it to my design to not have a hole in it. When I'm all done, I use a bead reamer to poke the hole in, but this way it's not so hard to try and line it up, because sometimes it gets really frustrating to put that hole over top of an item that already has a hole, like it won't line up, or it can just be a headache. So I do mine this way. So what I do, I'm going to ungroup that. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to find the background, which is the gray one. I'm going to bring this up here. Let me move this down here. Go down to the right corner here, it says contour. Click on this here, and that's going to take your hole out. So it brings it back on your screen, and there's no hole. Now I'm going to duplicate this because I know that I need two of them. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the purple background. Get up here, hit your contour, take your hole out, and then duplicate it because you know you need two. And then I'm going to come back down and do the same thing with the blue layer. Okay. And I'm going to come over here, since I already duplicated those, and I'm going to hide these layers that I just duplicated so that I don't cut them again. Okay, so for cutting purposes, because there are so many tiny little dots in here, to keep my brain able to focus on what I'm doing, I am going to take a group of these, and we're going to take the boy and group him, and then we're going to put all this together. Okay. And this is just a little trick that I do. Sometimes if I have more than one thing open on my screen, it gets hard to remember which is which. So I take this word here, whatever word you want to use, change it to a color that's not in my design. I put it over the top of this, I group it all, and then I hide it. So that way when I know it's time for me to go cut the other one, this T right here is what I'm going to look for. So I don't have to go through and like, okay, wait, is this the one I want? No, maybe it's this one. No. So this just makes it easier for me. It's just something that, because I've done so many duplicate designs on one screen, it helps my brain to remember that this one right here, all of these I'm going to need. So I'm going to hide this. Then I'm going to show you guys something over here on the color sync panel. I don't know if you know this little trick with Design Space. This right here shows all the colors that I'm going to need for this design. Well, let's say I want this yellow inside of my little flowers to be the same color as this yellow. Well, I know that this yellow is here because there's only one, but I'm going to take these and I'm going to bring them down here. Now I'm going to move them up. And all that does is when you go to make it, it'll keep all these yellows on one panel when you go to cut it. So you don't have to worry about, I mean, you can keep them that way if you want to, but I just figured it would be easier to have those all the same yellow. Okay, so now we're going to make it. Okay, and then these are all the mats that you need. See how my yellows are back together right there. I always like to just go through and make sure that there's nothing funky in there, or if I needed to attach something that didn't get attached. Now what else I like to do when I go to make my files or my designs, because they're so small here, instead of loading 11 different mats, I like to put my vinyl on the same mat. So what I do, I know this is going to be white, I'll cut my piece of white vinyl and put that at the top of my mat. I can see where it needs to go. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to move this down here so that when I move it to another mat, it'll land in that same spot. Because if I did it up here and I want to move it here, it's going to land on top of it. And I don't want to do that. So I know that's going to be gray down there. Sometimes if there's multiple colors or multiple pieces in the same color, I'll leave it there because it's just easier. It's kind of a pain to move all of it. But you can do it however you want to. If you want to leave your colors on the mats that they are, they're fine. But like I said, I like to move mine. It just makes it so that it's faster. But you can kind of see the process here. You can go through all of them. And then just to speed up this process so I don't have to go through all of them, I'm going to hit continue. And when I cut my vinyl, because the pieces are so small, the setting that works for me best is wax paper. And then I put this on more. And then of course go, push a little button to start it. But this setting seems to work best for me. I know all machines are different. A lot of people like to use the washi setting. But for me, the wax paper setting works the best. Okay, so let's make this and then we're going to put it all together. Okay, let's turn my light on here so you guys can see a little better. One thing that I found when you go to weed your vinyl after you've cut it with small pieces, you want to make sure that you weed it right away. Don't let it sit around for whatever reason. When it's time to go to weed it, if it's been sitting around for a while, it doesn't want to release from the vinyl. I'm not really sure why. This is just, again, another little trick that I've learned. So we're going to try and weed out the little things first. You got the little whiskers here. Always remember to go slow. You can move them around as you go here. This one says Happy Easter. You guys stick your vinyl on your fingers too? Okay. Move that off of there. Let's just keep going here. Another thing that I found that I do is when I cut a big strip like this and there's all the little pieces in there, sometimes I forget which way they're supposed to go. So I'll put a little slice in the top here so I can remember that this is the top of the vinyl, the way that I cut it in the design, so that I know that the eyes go up this way, not this way. It's just another little trick that I learned that when I'm putting things together, so my brain doesn't have to work as hard. Okay, let's get our blank ready here. Most acrylic blanks come with a protective paper on them. Just take them off. Okay, and that's what they look like. Now when I do mine, this is a personal preference, I sand mine first. Just take a little emery board and just sand them. When I did badge reels and keychains, I sealed them with epoxy or UV resin. So I've just gotten the habit of filing down my blanks so that way when you go to put your sealer on it, which is, like I said, the epoxy or the UV resin, it has something to adhere to. So that way it won't pop off later. But if you're not going to use it as a keychain or, you know, get a lot of use on it, you actually don't have to seal them because it's adhesive vinyl, just like you put on your vehicle. Now I'm just cleaning this with a little bit of alcohol to get those little sanding particles off of there that I just put on, because whatever you leave on here is going to show underneath your vinyl, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, so we're going to let it dry. I'm going to show you guys the wet method. What that is, get me a piece of transfer tape here. Adhesive vinyl tends to have bubbles underneath it when you put it on stuff if you aren't careful. So the wet method, let's see, this is my back piece. Put your vinyl on. Wet method will help you to be able to reposition your vinyl and also so that you don't have bubbles underneath it. This is my scraper. I'm going to take that off. And here's the piece that I just did, that I just cleaned. This bottle has a little bit of dish soap and water in it. Very little dish soap with water. When you make it, give it a little spray and see how it feels. You want to be able to feel that there's a little bit of soap on the back of it. Not a lot. So you just need a drop. I've had this same bottle probably for a year now. Okay, so what you're doing is you're just moving this around so that it's covered well. Same with this. And you're going to put it over top of your acrylic piece. Line it up. Now let's say you didn't put anything on it. There's no way you'd be able to lift this back up. If you've used adhesive vinyl, you know it sticks really quick. So this helps you so that you can reposition it. You just take this and you squeeze all your water out of it. I'm going to look to make sure that I have no overhang. See, this one's overhanging a little bit, so I'm going to move it again. I took my circle and I sized it down. It's a 3-inch circle, but I sized it down to 2.97 so I wouldn't have to worry about it not covering all the way, or that it has overhang. I don't want the overhang on it. See how you can reposition it like that? I'm going to put this underneath it because it's black. It's easier for my eyes to see it. Okay, squeeze your water out. And always remember, when you take your transfer tape off, you want to go slow. When you go fast, you have more of a chance of having bubbles underneath your vinyl. So pull it up slow. I'm going to help keep that down. I'm having a hard time with this one to release. Just keep working at it. Push that down. Make sure there's no water left. See, there's no bubbles. That hole right there is what I was talking about, how we're going to pop through, so we don't have to worry about lining it up. The paper's still on the back of this one. I chose to use a black acrylic blank. I just like the colored ones better. That way I don't have to worry about seeing anything from the back side. Doesn't have to be a black one. You could do whatever you want. You could put glitter on the back if you want to. A lot of people do different stuff. This is just my preference. I like the solid acrylic blanks. So like I said, you don't have to worry about putting anything on the other side if you don't want to. Alright, so now that's done. Okay, next one is going to be the purple layer. Now I don't think I would do a wet method again on top of another piece of vinyl. You could actually put this on the back if you wanted to. Like if you had a clear acrylic and you wanted to put that on the back, you could do that because this vinyl is double-sided, so you'd be able to see it that way too. When you go to do another piece of vinyl, I would suggest getting another piece. I wouldn't use the piece that you just used because it was wet, and it's not going to want to pick up your vinyl if it's wet. Okay, so let's see how we do eyeballing this one. Now again, remember where your circle is. So when you go to put this on, remember how your design's going to be. His hands are going to be over here. So you're going to want this to be down towards the bottom. But again, we didn't put a circle in here, so we wouldn't have to worry about lining it up. And with this one, actually, it's going to be, I'm looking at my pattern on the screen, and it's actually going to be up a little bit higher. Do like this so we don't get any bubbles. Okay, pull it up slow. Always remember to pull it up slow. Okay. That's my keychain hole, or the hole where you're going to hang your tag. We're going to put this blue over top of it. Let's see if we can use the same piece here. Remember, look at your design on your screen so you know how to line it up. This is going to be right on top of this here. Okay. I think we're going to do the hands next. Okay, let's do, does that fit on there? Yep. Okay, I did a black shadow or silhouette behind the bunny head. That way it pops a little bit more. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. Actually, I'm going to tape this down because it's curled a little bit. But I did it just to give it more dimension. Line that up. Okay, before I do his face, I'm going to put some flowers on. Actually, it's a her. This is the girl. But let's take a little dot from our flower and put it on this one. Let's see, do one of our pink ones with the white. Okay, remember where your hole is, so you don't want to put a piece of vinyl on top of your hole. You can put these wherever you want to, whatever you think looks good for you. Let's do this green one. See, starting to come together. I'm going to put Happy Easter on before I mess around and don't have room for it. Give him some ears. Oops. Should have put the pink on before I put the flower on, but we're going to go with it here. Alright, now let's see. Let's get his eyes together. See, I didn't turn this one the right way, so I'm not sure which way his eyes are supposed to go. This way. Let's find a nose. And how about some whiskers? And let's take those cheeks in with them. Make it easier. Okay, there's the girl. Now I'll show you what I meant with the bead reamer. Okay, you can see where this hole is right here. See how I'm poking on it? Okay, just poked it just like that. Now you can take it, kind of use, because there's like a file side on this. Keep pushing if you want to, or you can take a little X-Acto knife. Be very careful as you cut your hole all the way around. There you go. Okay, I'll show you how I make my hangers for my tags. Here, this is just ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Just going to cut off a piece. And I'm going to fold it in half. And then take this and make it so it's smaller. I'm going to feed it through the front of my blank. Okay, and then take your tails and pull them through. Okay, and that's how I made the tags, the hangers. And I'm going to hang these on the baskets.